Bunkers don't have to be a struggle. As a matter of fact, they can be your bailout place. In this video, I'm going to show you how I hit both my splash and long bunker shots with really high consistency with a really simple technique. Let's get started. I'm going to teach you the basics of beginner bunkers. So I'm assuming that you know how to chip a ball and you know how to grip a club and you know how to swing a club, but you're struggling getting out of the bunker. So I'm going to show you the way I learned to make it easier on myself and everybody I train. So let's get started. So the difference between picking a ball clean out of the bunker and hitting a long shot and a splash shot is where you make contact with the ball. So first you need to know that a sand wedge has bounce. That's this spine on the back of the club. The higher the bounce, the more the club leaves the ground as it strikes. In this scenario, we're going to first understand how to use the bounce. This is how most people hit a sand wedge. This is going to dig in. What I want you to do is turn the club backwards and bounce it off of this like a rudder. Just let it bounce. I don't care what stroke you make, just make sure you can feel that it can't dig in and it skips off the sand. Then I want you to turn the club slightly on each swing until it's no longer bouncing and it starts to dig. That's too far. So our goal here is to play a ball with the club open, and we're going to bounce it off the sand behind the ball, leaving the ball to shoot up with the sand and enter the green. First thing is they tell us to open up on a bunker shot. Why are we opening? It's not so much that we want the club face further open. What we want is room for our hands to come through. See, when we open to the hole, so I'm going to open to this stick. This is square to the stick, and this is open to the stick. I'm not going to swing across. I'm going to swing my hands still down this same line. I'm open because my hands need a place to go. In order to pull it down this line with my handle in front, I need room. If I let my hands go, I don't even need to be open. But I'm going to keep my hands in front in this shot and bounce the club, and my hands are going to clear on the inside. So to get close to this hole, I'm going to just bounce the club under the ball. So the goal here is I open the club and I understand how to make it bounce, and then I slowly start to close the club until it no longer bounces right there. Once it no longer bounces, I open it up just a tad more. So now what I'm going to do, square, open up, this is actually my line. I'm going to come down this line with my hands in front, not break my wrists, and just bounce the club under the ball. That ball comes out very soft and very consistent every single time. Through the ball, club path comes this way, club head goes this way, grounding and bouncing off the sole. Now, the higher the lip, the harder I splash and the further back I go, but I can swing very, very hard and I don't get much more distance. So again, line myself up, I open to give my hand room, and I'm going to come down this line. Now, I can bounce this club in grass, I can bounce it in sand, I can bounce it virtually anywhere. The goal here is to know that the club is going to bounce. So in my brain, I'm looking 1 inch behind the ball, and I'm trying to just flatten the back of the club into the ground and letting the bounce recoil up. After I've hit the ground, I'm not doing much with the club head. That ball was a little hot, but it's just the other side of the pin. but no matter what, it's coming out. So last ball, I'll try to land this a little bit short. So all of those balls come out of the sand each time soft because of the bounce. So let me demonstrate this bounce in the grass. Now the same bounce that we use in the bunker can be used to hit a flop shot in the grass. So what would happen is I'm going to come the same way. This is square, I'm going to rotate open, but my path is still going to be down the line I want it, hands in front, bouncing the club off of the ground. That creates a very high, very floppy shot, only about 30 yards. I can bounce this club just the same off the grass as I do off the sand. Okay, so we're gonna do a couple of long shots out of the bunker, and I'm gonna explain the proper way to hit these. So on short shots out of the bunker, we're gonna use the bounce, which is the back of the club. But on a long shot out of the bunker, we're gonna strike it just like we would on the fairway. Now, it's very important that there's no sand between your club and the ball on a long strike. So we're going to move our eyes forward on the ball, from the back of the ball to the middle of the ball, or even the front, and we're going to hit a descending blow just like we would in the fairway or any place else on the course except your driver. Now, the caveat here is that because we're going to be pinching it into sand and not ground, we're going to lose 10 or 15 yards, but here we go. So here, I'm going to make a bunker swing. This is where I would normally hit the ball. I would normally bounce the ball on that line, bounce the club, and splash the ball out. But in this case, we're going to hit a 100-yard shot. So I'm going to stare at the center to front of the ball and strike it with a downward blow with forward press and pinch the ball. But it's very important that there's no sand between my club and the ball. Now that one was picked perfectly clean. Now let's get a little bit of a pinch onto the ball and see how it flies differently. It's important to remember that we always want to get our hands in front when striking a golf ball. When our hands are in front, we can be sure of where the club head is, and we cannot turn the club head over prematurely. Even for a splash shot, the hands end up in front on the swing. After the hands reach the ball, you can release the wrists because the ball is already gone. Here you can see the technique I employ for hitting splash shots. I use the same technique when I'm hitting a flop shot out of the grass. The goal of hitting sand shots is to develop no fear, meaning we understand the technique, we stare behind the ball, and we just plant the back of the club down, and everything else just happens. Once we get into this mode, we can speed through our shots with no fear. No fear golf. Now hopefully that bunker lesson was simple enough that you'll get something out of it and you'll be able to go out and hit bunker shots. The takeaway in most of my lessons is you need to have forward press on virtually every shot in golf, and you need to prevent the wrist break on the way through whenever possible so that you can have a consistent head placement on every swing. Thanks for taking a look. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Hopefully you've already subscribed, possibly unsubscribed, and then subscribed again. Remember, press and send.